I spend hours learning how to make trofia. In this video, you'll learn exactly how the technique works, so you can skip the hours I spent experimenting and start making great looking hand-rolled trofia from day one. Let's start with the dough. Trofia is really simple. It's just semolina and water. This water is warm, not hot, but it's warm. It helps it come together better. This is 200 grams of semolina, and this is 120 grams of water, which gives about 60% hydration. I don't know if that's gonna be correct. We'll see. If I need to add more water or more semolina, then I'll do that, but hopefully that will be fine. No, that's not an ideal start to this, but it happens. I can already tell you that this feels a little too wet. It feels more like a 80% dough almost, but just add some more semolina. I'm aiming for a tough but well-hydrated dough. If it's too dry, it'll be especially hard to form the trofia. So I definitely want it to be on the wetter side for pasta doughs. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more flour still. Semolina, that is. If you have a mixer, by all means, use the mixer because this is a workout. Okay, so that's our dough. I think it's pretty much ready. I'm just gonna cover this up to keep it from forming a skin. I don't think we really need to let this rest. It's hydrated enough that I don't think resting is necessary. The surface which you use to roll the trofia is really important. I would say that the best surfaces to make trofia on are bare wood and fairly rough. So this, although it meets the bare wood criteria, it's really smooth, and when you try and roll the pasta on it, it basically just slides underneath your hand and doesn't work. Glass does not work. I tried it. This table, for some reason, also does not work. Probably too smooth. This table works the best. It's pretty rough. It's not actually raw wood. It had at some point a lacquer on it, but it's kind of worn off, so it's kind of raw wood, I guess. It works pretty all right. I'm also gonna try a cutting board today. This is just a wooden cutting board. It's raw. It's pretty rough, meets all the criteria. I think this might work the best. We'll see. Let's roll our trofia. It's really important to keep the dough moist. If you let it sit out with no cover on it and it gets a skin on it, it's gonna be really hard to roll. To actually form the trofia, take just a pinch, about like so maybe, and just roll something about like that. The next step is to put your hand on it, maybe about like so. You want to start at the back, because if you start up here, then you'll try and like roll it on your finger, and I haven't been able to figure that out. I know some Italians can roll it all the way from the base of their hand to the end of their finger. I can't do that. Maybe I just need to practice more. But I just place my wrist about right here and apply gentle pressure and just roll it like so to form a trofia like that. Wow, that one turned out really well. Sometimes they don't turn out so well, but that was pretty good. So just a pinch, and then just roll it into a little snake. And then at the base of your palm, just apply gentle pressure, not too much. If you apply too much pressure, you'll end up just like smearing it kind of. Actually, you know what? On other surfaces, you'll end up smearing it. On this surface, you make a beautiful trofia. So yeah, as I suspected, this surface already doing much better than any of the others I've tried. Yeah, gorgeous. This is the way I think the technique works. You basically have two planes. You can push it in this direction, which would just make it like flat, which doesn't work obviously, or you can roll it in this direction, which makes it long and skinny. And you basically need a hybrid of the two. So going kind of in this direction, just kind of going in like a diagonal motion, or I guess if you put this at a slight angle, then you can just come straight down like so. Yeah, nice, very pretty. It also matters how thick the pieces. So like this is maybe a little bit bigger than I showed you before, and if you don't roll it quite so thin, then it makes like a nicer spiral, I guess. And this dough is working really well. So I would guess that it's about 50 to 55% hydration. To store the trofia so they don't stick together, I'm just gonna put them on this plate So I actually have to break in right here to say that this is not the best way to store trofie. I forgot that you're supposed to just lay them out on a floured surface, because even if you do coat them in flour, they'll still stick together to some extent and you'll get these clumps that don't come apart very easily. The slower I make them, the better they turn out. So I guess this is one of those things where going slow at first will make them better. I guess with time you can get faster. If you get an ugly one like that, I would just stick it back into your dough. Especially at the beginning, you'll get a lot of ugly ones and you might as well just stick it back in and keep practicing. As far as I know, there's not any like hard set rules on the size of trofie. So if you like smaller ones, then make smaller ones. If you like bigger ones, as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with that. Also, as a side note, this looks really impressive to people. So if you have like company over, just be like finishing up when they get in, because also these cook in like 3 minutes, maybe less. So just roll the last few while they're watching. They'll be very impressed. Or better yet, use this as like a date night. You want to impress your girlfriend? Make her some trofie. Trofie is one of my favorite pastas to make. Not necessarily to eat. I think I like longer pastas better to eat, like bigoli or spaghetti, even fettuccine and tagliatelle, but they're just not as fun to make. Like this is just fun. Okay, I've got about 3/4 of the dough left. Let's see how long it takes me to finish making all this trofie. So Trofie is from Liguria, which is the same place that classic basil pesto, I guess you could say pesto alla Genovese, is from. There, they basically eat these exclusively with pesto, from what I've understood. So that's what we'll be making today. I'm not gonna make my own pesto because it's winter here and basil is expensive, but maybe next summer. Okay, so now it's time to cook our trofie. I've put some water on to boil, and I'm going to put this vegetable steamer that I've taken the legs off down in there. That'll make it really easy to pull them all out at once when they're done, because they get done in like 2 to 3 minutes and then you gotta take them out quick. And since I want to save the pasta water, this is really convenient. Make sure we salt our pasta water. Okay, my water is boiling, so in go trofie. Once they start floating, they're technically cooked through, but I usually give them a little bit longer to just soften them up a little bit. Wow, it smells amazing. Beautiful. Trofie turns out soft, but not overly soft. It still has a decent amount of chew to it. It's definitely not an al dente kind of texture, but it's also not an overcooked pasta texture. If you love Italian food, then click here to watch my video about the best oven settings for making pizza napoletana at home.